Hello, my name is Derek from Tomcat Gas Training and welcome to part 6 and the final 6 at 6 on this Friday evening. So this is where at 6 p.m. I test your gas knowledge and continue your training with 6 gas questions. So let's stop messing around and let's get on with giving you the answers to part 5. The answer to question 7 in part 5, the correct specification for temporary continuity bond is, the answer is A, not less than 1.2 metres long, cross-sectional area of 10 mm squared of 250 volts rated single core flexible insulated cable. And that is the answer to question 7 in part 5. And now for the answer for question 8 in part 5. Flexible hoses for use on gas cookers are manufactured to. The answer is C, BS 669. And that is the answer to question 8 in part 5. And now for the answer to question 9 in part 5. A medium pressure fed installation is one which the regulator inlet pressure, the answer is C, exceeds 75 millibars but does not exceed 2 bar. That is the answer to question 9 in part 5. And now to the answer to question 10 in part 5. No permissible loss on a water pressure gauge is B, less than 0.25 millibars. And that is the answer to question 10 in part 5. And now for the answer to question 11 in part 5. The correct sequence for attaching a temporary continuity bond is B, first insulated clip upstream side followed by second insulated clip downstream side. And that is the answer to question 11 in part 5. And now for the final answer in part 5, number 12. The limits for notching of joists to approved document A is A, a minimum of 0.07 times the span to a maximum of 0.25 times the span. So that is the end of answer 12 in part 5. So they were the answers for part 5. How did you do? The answers are scrolled on the bottom here, so again you can check your answers. So, without further ado now, let's get on with the final part of 6 at 6 with part 6. And now for question number 13 in part 6. The correct maximum spacings for clips on a 15mm gas pipe is A, 1.8 metres vertical and 1.2 metres horizontal, B, 1.8 metres horizontal and 2.4 metres vertical, and C, 2 metres vertical and 1.5 metres horizontal. And that is the end of question 13 in part 6. And now for question 14 in part 6. Sleeves for gas pipes A, can contain a pipe joint. B, must always be sealed both internally and externally at both ends to the wall. And C, should span the full width of the wall to be continuous and sealed internally at one end. That is the end of question 14 in part 6. Question number 15 in part 6. A cross-sectional area of a gas pipe duct is 0.08 metres, that's supposed to be squared, not cubed. What size of air vent will be required? So A, no air vent is required. B, 1/50th of the cross-sectional area of the duct. C, 0.05 metres squared. That is the end of question 15 in part 6. And now for question 16 in part 6. Take a look at this picture. Under iGEM G11 of the Unsafe Situations Procedure, categorise the installation which has passed a tightness test on a landlord report. Is it A, ID? Is it B, at risk? Or is it C, ID and RIDDOR? And that is the end of question 16 in part 6. And now question 17 in part 6. Take a look at this picture under iGEM G11, categorise the installation which has passed all analyzer tests on a landlord report. Is it A, ID? Is it B, at risk? Or is it C, ID and RIDDOR? That is the end of question 17 in part 6. And finally in part 6, question number 18. Take a look at this picture under iGEM G11 of the Unsafe Situations Procedure. Categorise this installation which has passed the tightness test on a landlord report. So, is it A, ID, B, at risk, or C, ID and RIDDOR? That is the end of question 18 and part 6. So, how do you think you've done? Have you got them all right? Well, let's have a look. Let's check these answers for part 6. Let's get on with it. Let's have a look at the answer to question 13 in part 6. The correct maximum spacings for clips on a 15mm gas pipe is... The answer was C, 2 metres vertical and 1.5 metres horizontal. And that is answer 13 in part 6. And now the answer to question 14 in part 6. Sleeves for gas pipes. The answer is B, must always be sealed both internally and externally at both ends of the wall. That is the end of question 14 in part 6. Now the answer to question 15 on part 6, the cross-sectional area of a gas pipe duct is 0.08 metres squared, not cubed. What size of air vent will be required? The answer is C, 0.05 metres squared. So that is the answer to question 15 in part 6. And now for the answer question 16 in part 6. Take a look at this picture under iGEM G11. Categorise the installation which has passed the tightness test on a landlord report. The answer is C, ID and RIDDOR. And that is the answer to 16 in part 6. And now the answer to question 17 in part 6. Take a look at this picture under iGEM G11. Categorise the installation which passed all analyzer tests on a landlord report. The answer is B, at risk. And that is the end of question 17 in part 6. And finally, answer to question 18 in part 6. Take a look at the picture under iGEM G11, categorise the installation which passed the tightness test on a landlord report. The answer is C, ID and Rideau. And that is the end of question 18 in part 6. And that is the end of part 6 of 6 at 6. So, if you've enjoyed these videos, why don't you give me a thumbs up because it shows me you care, or leave a constructive comment down below. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, then get subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because we release videos a lot of the time during this coronavirus pandemic. Anyway, all I've got left to say is thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and stay in and stay safe during this time of the coronavirus. Cheers, guys.